the conclusion that one useless man is called a disgrace, that two are called a law firm, and that three or more become a Congress. By God, I've had this Congress. For 10 years, King George and his Parliament have gulled, cullied, and diddled these colonies with their illegal taxes, Stamp Acts, Townshend Acts, Sugar Acts, Tea Acts. And when we have dared stand up like men, they stopped our trade, seized our ships and blockaded our ports, burned our towns, and spilled our blood. And still, this Congress won't grant any of my proposals on independence, even so much as the courtesy of open debate. Good God, what in hell are they waiting for? Sit down, John. Sit down, John. For God's sake, John, sit down. Sit down, John. Sit down, John. For God's sake, John, sit down. Open up a window. It's 90 degrees. Have mercy, John, please. It's hot as hell in Philadelphia. Open up a window. I say vote yes. Vote yes. Vote for independency. Open up a window. I say vote yes. Sit down, John. Vote for independency. Someone open up a window. No, too many flies. Too many flies. What is hot as hell in Philadelphia? Are you gonna open up a window? Can we compromise here? Vote yes. No, too many flies here. Vote yes. Oh, for God's sake, John, sit down! Oh, God, consider yourselves fortunate you have John Adams to abuse. For no sane man would tolerate it. John, you're a bore. We've heard this before. Now, for God's sake, John, sit down! Vote yes. No! Vote yes. No! Vote for independency. Someone open up a window. I say vote yes. Sit down, John. Vote for independency. Will someone shut that man up? Never. Never! Dear God, for one solid year they've been sitting here, a whole year, doing nothing. I do believe you laid a curse on North America, a curse that we here now rehearse in Philadelphia. A second flood, a simple famine, legs of locusts everywhere, or a cataclysmic earthquake, I accept with some despair. But no, you sent us Congress. Good God, sir, was that fair? I say this with humility in Philadelphia. We're your responsibility in Philadelphia. If you don't want to see us hanging from some far-off British hill, if you don't want the voice of independency forever stilled, then God, sir, get thee to it, for Congress never will. You see, we piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Not one damn thing do we solve. Piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Nothing's ever solved in foul-fetid, fuming, foggy, filthy Philadelphia.
Someone ought to open up a window.
Shut up.
I now call the Congress' attention to the petition of Mr. Melchior May, who claims $20 compensation for his dead mule. It seems the animal was employed transporting luggage in the service of the Congress.
The question then appears to be one of occasion, for if the mule expired not while carrying, but after being unloaded, then surely the beast dropped dead on its own time.
Oh, good God! They may sit here for years and years in Philadelphia. These indecisive grenadiers of Philadelphia. They can't agree on what is right or wrong, or what is good or bad. I'm convinced the only purpose this Congress ever had was to gather here specifically to drive John Adams mad. You see, we piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Not one damn thing do we solve. Piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Nothing's ever solved in foul-fetid, fuming, foggy, filthy Philadelphia.
John.
have such a desire to knock heads together.
I know, my dearest, I know. But that's because you make everything so complicated. It's all quite simple, really. Just tell the Congress to declare independency. Then sign your name, get out of there, and hurry home to me. Our children all have dysentery. Little Tom is turning blue. Little Abby has the measles, and I'm coming down with flu. They say we may get smallpox.
Madam, what else is new? Abigail, in my last letter, I wrote you that the king had collected 12,000 German mercenaries to send against us. And I asked you to organize the ladies to make saltpeter for gunpowder. Have you done as I asked?
No, John, I have not.
Why have you not?
Because you neglected to tell us how saltpeter is made.
By treating sodium nitrate with potassium chloride, of course.
Oh, yes, of course.
Where will it be done, then?
I'm afraid we have a more urgent problem, John.
More urgent, madam?
There's one thing every woman's missed in Massachusetts Bay. Don't smirk at me, you egotist. Pay heed to what I say. We've gone from Framingham to Boston, and we cannot find a pin. Don't you know there's a war on, says each tradesman with a grin. Well, we will not make saltpeter until you send us pins.
Pins, madam? Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Done, madam. Done.
Done, John. Hurry home, John.
As soon as I'm able.
And don't stop writing. It's all I have.
Every day, my dearest friend.
Till then,
Till then, I am as I ever was and ever shall be. Yours, 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 yours. Saltpeter, John.
Here's Abigail.
For God's sake, John, sit down.
Franklin. Franklin! Franklin, where in God's name were you when I needed you?
Right here, John. Being preserved for posterity. Do you like it?
Stinks.
As ever, the soul of tact.
The man's no Botticelli.
The subject no Venus.
Franklin, you heard what I suffered in there.
Heard. Of course I heard. Along with the rest of Philadelphia. Lord, your voice is piercing, John.
Understanding my arguments were. My God, Franklin, when will they make up their minds? With one hand, they can raise an army, dispatch one of their own to lead it, and cheer the news from Bunker's Hill. While with the other, they wave the olive branch, begging the king for a happy and permanent reconciliation. Damn it, Fat George has declared us in rebellion. Why bloody hell can't they?
Oh, John, really? You talk as if independence were the rule. It's never been done before. No colony has ever broken from the parent stem in the history of the world.
Franklin, you make us sound treasonous.
Why? Treason. Treason is a charge invented by winners as an excuse for hanging the losers.
More to do than stand here listening to quote yourself.
no, that was a new one.
Damn it, Franklin, we're at war.
To defend ourselves, nothing more. We expressed our displeasure, and the English moved against us, and we in turn have resisted. Now our fellow congressmen want to effect a reconciliation before it becomes a war.
Reconciliation, my ass. The people want independence.
The people have read Mr. Payne's Common Sense. I doubt the Congress has. John, why don't you give it up? Nobody listens to you. You're obnoxious and disliked.
I'm not promoting John Adams. I'm promoting independence.
Evidently, they cannot help connecting the two.
What are you suggesting?
Let someone else in Congress propose.
Never! Who did you have in mind?
I don't know. I really haven't given it much thought.
You sent for me, Benji?
Never!
Halloo, Johnny!
Richard. Richard! John and I need some advice.
If it's mine to give, it's yours, you know that.
Thank you, Richard. As you know, the cause that we support has come to a complete standstill. Now, why do you suppose that is?
Simple. Johnny here is obnoxious and disliked.
Yes, that's true. What's the solution, I wonder?
Get someone else in Congress to propose.
Richard, that's brilliant. Wasn't that brilliant, John?
Brilliant.
Now, the question remains, who can it be? The man we need must belong to a delegation publicly committed to support independence. And at the present time, only Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Delaware have declared our way.
And Virginia, Benji. Don't forget Virginia.
Oh, I haven't, Richard. How could I? But strictly speaking, while Virginia's views on independence are well known, your legislature in Williamsburg has never formally authorized its delegation here in Congress to support the cause. Of course, if we could think of a Virginian with enough influence to go down there and persuade the House of Burgesses.
Damn me if I haven't thought of someone.
Who?
Me.
Why didn't I think of that?
I'll leave tonight. Hell, right now, if you like, I'll stop off at Stratford just long enough to refresh the missus and then straight to the matter. Virginia, the land that gave us our glorious commander-in-chief, George Washington, will now give the continent its proposal on independence. And when Virginia proposes, the South is bound to follow. And where the South goes, the middle colonies go. Gentlemen, a salute to Virginia, the mother of American independence.
Incredible. We're free and he hasn't even left yet. What makes you so sure he can do it?
Ah, my name is Richard Henry Lee. Virginia is my home. My name is Richard Henry Lee. Virginia is my home. And may my horses turn blue if I can't deliver to you a resolution on independency. For I am FFV, the first family in the southern colony of Virginia. Yes, the FFV, the oldest family in the oldest colony in America. And may the British burn the land if I can't deliver to your hand a resolution on independency. You see, it's yearly, verily, everywhere a legally, socially, politically, financially, naturally, internally, externally, nocturnally, eternally. And the first family in the sovereign colony of Virginia. And may my wife refuse my bed if I can't deliver, as I said, a resolution on independency.
Spoken modestly, God help us.
He will, John, he will.
They say that God in heaven is everybody's God.
Amen.
I'll admit that God in heaven is everybody's God. But I tell you, John, with pride, God leans a little on the side of the Lees of old Virginia. You see, it's herely, verily, and everywhere a lee, herely, verily, everywhere a lee. Look out, there's Arthur Lee, and Bobby Lee, and General Light Horse Harry Lee, Willie Lee, Jesse Lee,
And Richard H.
that's me, and may my blood stop running blue if I can't deliver to you a resolution on independency. Yes, sir, by God, it's herely, verily. Come on, John, join in with me. Herely, verily.
When do you leave?
Immediately. Herely, verily.
When do you return?
Shortly. Herely, verily. And I'll come back triumphantly. Herely, verily. Everywhere a lee, herely.
witnessed.
They're a warm-blooded people, Virginians.
Not him, Franklin, you! You and your infernal obsession for deviousness. If you'd come right out and ask him straight, he'd have left half an hour ago.
Oh, cheer up, John. At this very moment, our cause is again riding high. Sitting straight in the saddle and in full gallop for Virginia.
And our women are singing.
Oh, go on.
Full bosomed. Full bosomed? Full bosomed, Benji. Everyone a queen. Why, they are Lees, damn it! The Lees of old Virginia. My God, it's here-ly, there-ly. Come on, John, step lively. Here-ly, there-ly. Everywhere-ly, here our world.
Yes, I'm Dr. Lyman Hall, the delegate choice. I'm Andrew McNair, congressional custodian. If you want anything at all, just holler out, McNair, as you'll hear the others do. And there won't be too long to wait. Where does the Georgia delegation belong? Oh, they mill about over in that corner there near the two Carolinas. It's after 10. I was told Congress convenes at 10. They'll be wandering at any time now, sir, with old Brinkman Guts leading the pack. Old who?
McNair!
Brinkman Guts.
Fetch me a mug of rum.
Mr. Hopkins, you'll be pleased to meet Dr. Lyman Hall.
I don't need a doctor, damn it.
New delegate from Georgia.
Well, why didn't you say so? I'm Stephen Hopkins, old delegate from Rhode Island. McNair, 2 mugs of rum.
I'm afraid it's a little early today.
Nonsense. It's a medicinal fact that rum gets a man's heart started in the morning. I'm surprised you didn't know it. And speaking as the oldest man in the
Ben
Congress,
Franklin's older by almost a year.
rum! Tell me, Dr. Hall, where does Georgia stand on the question of independence?
South Carolina, of course.
Good morning, Nettie. Shake the hand of Dr. Lyman Hall from Georgia. Doctor, this here is Edward Rutledge from whichever Carolina he says he's from. God knows I can't keep him straight.
Pleasure, Dr. Hall.
You've met the long and the short of it now, Doctor. Nettie here is only 26. He's the youngest of us.
Except for Ben Franklin.
McNair!
Well,
Well, where'd you go for it, man? Jamaica?
Where does Georgia stand on independence at the present time, Dr. Hall?
I'm here to sign instructions. They will go my own personal convictions.
They are.
Personal.
Dr. Hall, the Deep South speaks with one voice. It's traditional. Even more historical. Enter Delaware, Utah, uno.
Sweet Lane Rutledge, you know I couldn't follow none of your damn French.
Colonel McKean, a tribute to the eternal peace and harmony of the Delaware delegation.
What are you saying, Mom? You know perfectly well neither Rodney nor I can stand this little wart.
Gentlemen, this is Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, Caesar Rodney, George Reed, Colonel Thomas McKean.
Where do you stand on independence, Doctor?
With South Carolina, it seems.
I'll leave the doctor in your excellent competence.
Tell me, sir, would you be a doctor of medicine or of theology?
Both, Mr. Rodney, which can be a sir.
By all means, the physician first, then we shall see about the other.
Dr. Calls your convenience.
I trust, Caesar, when you're through converting the poor fellow to independency, that you'll give the opposition a fair crack at him.
You're too late, John. Once I get them, they're got. Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, Mr. John Dickinson of Pennsylvania. Oh, Judge Wilson, forgive me, but how can anyone see you when you insist on standing in Mr. Dickinson's shadow? James Wilson, also Pennsylvania. Sir.
Will you get out of my way, please? Good morning, all.
Amen.
Good morning.
Good Lord, you have the honor to be Dr. Ben Franklin.
Yes, I have that honor. Unfortunately, the gout accompanies the honor.
Been living too high then, ain't happy?
Stephen, I only wish King George felt like my big toe, all over.
McNair, fetch your pillow and 2 more mugs of rum.
Well, Franklin, where's that idiot Lee? I don't see him as you return.
softly, John. Your voice is hurting my foot.
One more day, Franklin. That's how long I'll remain silent. Not a minute longer. That strutting Popinjay was so damn sure of himself. He's had time to bring back a dozen proposals by now.
Tell me, James, how do you explain the strange, monumental quietude that Congress has been treated to these past 30 days? Has the ill wind of independence finally blown itself out?
If you ask me.
For myself, I must confess that a month free from New England noise is more therapeutic than a month in the country. Don't you agree, James?
Well,
Mr. Adams, pray, look for your voice, sir. It cannot be far, and God knows we need the entertainment in this Congress.
Congratulations, John. You just made your greatest contribution to independence. You kept your flap shut.
One more day.
Gentlemen, the usual morning festivities concluded, I will now call the Congress to order. Mr. Thompson.
The Second Continental Congress, meeting in the city of Philadelphia, is now in session. 7th June, 1776, the 380th meeting.
Sweet Jesus!
The Honorable John Hancock of Massachusetts Bay, President.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. McNair, the stores of rum and other drinking spirits are hereby closed to the colony of Rhode Island for a period of 3 days.
Yes, sir!
John, you can't do that!
Sit down, Mr. Hopkins. You've abused the privilege. The chair would like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia to this Congress and hopes he will make the best of it. My God, it's hot. The secretary will read the roll.
All members present with the following exceptions. Mr. Charles Carroll of Maryland, Mr. Samuel Adams of Massachusetts, Mr. Button Gwinnett of Georgia, Mr. George Wythe and Mr. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia, and the entire delegation of New Jersey.
I'm concerned over the continued absence of 1/13 of this Congress. Where is New Jersey?
Somewhere between New York and Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much. Dr. Franklin, have you heard anything? Your son resides there.
Son, sir? What son?
The Royal Governor of New Jersey, sir.
As that title might suggest, sir, we are not in touch at the present time.
Yes, very well. The weather report. Mr. Jefferson of Virginia. Mr. Jefferson.
Present, sir.
May we hear about the weather as if it weren't speaking for itself?
87 degrees of temperature. 30.06 inches of mercury. Wind from the southwest for the rest of the afternoon. And tonight I'm leaving for home.
On business?
On family business.
Give her a good one for me, young feller.
I will.
From the Commander, Army of the United Colonies, in New York, dispatch number 1137.
Sweet Jesus!
To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President. Dear Sir, it is with grave apprehension that I have learned this day of the sailing from Halifax, Nova Scotia, of a considerable force of British troops in the company of foreign mercenaries, and under the command of General Sir William Howe. There can be no doubt that their destination is New York, for to take and hold this city and the Hudson Valley beyond would serve to separate New England from the other colonies, permitting both sections to be crushed in turn. Sadly, I see no way of stopping them at the present time, as my army is absolutely falling apart. My military chest is totally exhausted. My commissary general has strained his credit to the last. My quartermaster has no food, no arms, no ammunition, and my troops are in a state of near mutiny. I pray God some relief arrives before the Armada, but fear it will not. Your obedient. G. Washington.
Mr. President,
Colonel McKeon.
surely we managed to promote the gloomiest man on this continent to the head of our troops. Those dispatches are the most depressing accumulation of disaster, doom, and despair in the entire of military history. And furthermore,
Colonel McKeon, please. It's too hot.
yes, I suppose so.
General Washington will continue wording that he finds happier thoughts to convey in the near future. Mr. Thompson, are there any resolutions?
Mr. William Whipple of New Hampshire.
Resolved that for the duration of the present hostilities, that Congress discourage every type of extravagance and dissipation, elaborate funerals, and other expensive diversions, especially all horse racing.
Come back, Sonny!
Richard, we're pleased to see you.
What news, Dickie boy? What news?
Please, it done?
First things first. Tommy, your little bride wants to know, when's he coming home?
I leave tonight.
Never mind that. Is it done?
Done? Why, certainly. Mr. President, I return from Virginia with the following resolution. Resolved that these united colonies are, and of a right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved.
Mr. President, Massachusetts seconds the proposal.
The resolution has been proposed and seconded. The chair will now entertain debate.
Mr. President, Pennsylvania moves, as always, that the question of independence be postponed indefinitely.
I second the motion. Judge Wilson, in your eagerness to be loved, you seem to have forgotten that Pennsylvania cannot second its own motion.
Delaware second. You what, you little weasel?
Moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson?
On the motion to postpone indefinitely the resolution of independency or proceed with the debate, all those in favor of debate say yea. All those for postponement say nay. New Hampshire.
New Hampshire favors debate and says yea.
New Hampshire says yea. Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Having borne the brunt of the king's tyranny, yes, I said tyranny. Massachusetts now and for all time says yay.
Good one.
Massachusetts says yea. Rhode Island. Mr. Hopkins.
Where's Rhode Island?
Rhode Island's out visiting the necessary.
After what Rhode Island's consumed, I can't say I'm surprised. We'll come back to him, Mr. Thompson.
Rhode Island passes. Connecticut.
While Connecticut has till now been against this proposal, our legislature has instructed me that in the event it is introduced by any colony outside of New England, Connecticut could not any longer withhold its support. Connecticut says yea.
Connecticut says yea. New York.
Mr. Secretary, New York abstains. Courteously.
New York abstains.
Courteously.
New Jersey.
Absent, Mr. Secretary.
New Jersey is absent. Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, for the 24th time, says nay.
Pennsylvania says nay. Delaware.
Delaware, as ever for independence, says yea.
Delaware says yea. Maryland.
Maryland would welcome independence if it were given. It's highly skeptical it can be taken. Maryland says nay.
Maryland says nay. Virginia.
Virginia, the first colony, says yea.
Virginia says yea. North Carolina.
North Carolina respectfully yields to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Mr. President, although we in South Carolina never seriously considered the question of independence, the gentleman proposes it, attention must be paid. However, we in the Deep South, unlike our friends in New England, have no cause for impatience at the present time. If at some future date it becomes the wish of all of our sister colonies to effect a separation, we will not stand in the way. For the time being, South Carolina is going to wait and watch. Votes nay.
South Carolina says nay. North Carolina says nay. Yes, Mr. Hughes, I know. Georgia. Georgia.
Mr. Secretary, Georgia seems to be split right down the middle on this issue. People are against it, and I'm for it. But I'm not yet certain whether representing the people means relying on their judgment or on my own. So in all fairness, until I can figure it out, I better lean toward their side. Georgia says nay.
Georgia says nay. Rhode Island.
melt an issue that was so dangerous it couldn't be talked about. Hell yes, I'm for debating anything. Rhode Island says yay. It's there, give Mr. Hopkins a run.
What you said?
Get in the whole damn barrel.
Yes, sir.
The chair now declares this Congress a committee of the whole for the purpose of debating Virginia's resolution of independence. Mr. Dickens.
Well now, you've got your way at last, Mr. Adams. The matter may now be discussed. I confess I'm almost relieved. There's a question I've been fairly itching to ask you. Why?
Why what, Dickinson?
Why independence, Mr. Adams?
For the obvious reason that our continued association with Great Britain has grown intolerable.
To whom, Mr. Adams? To you. Then I suggest you sever your ties immediately. But please be kind enough to leave the rest of us where we are. Personally, I have no objections at all to being part of the greatest empire on earth, to enjoying its protections and sharing its benefits.
No, benefits? What benefits? Crippling taxes, cruel repressions, abolished rights.
Is that all that England means to you, sir? Is that all the affection and pride you can muster for the nation that bore you? For the noblest, most civilized nation on the face of this planet? Would you have us forsake Hastings and the Magna Carta, Strongbow and Lionheart, Drake and Marlborough, Tudors, Stuarts, and Plantagenets? For what, sir? Tell me, for what? For you? Some men are patriots, like General Washington. Some are advocates, like Mr. Payne. Some are even internationalists, like Dr. Franklin. But you, sir, are merely an agitator, disturbing the peace, creating disorder, endangering the public welfare. And for what? Your petty little personal complaints. Your taxes are too high. Well, sir, so are mine. Come, Mr. Adams, if you have grievances, and I'm sure you have, our present system must provide a gentler means of redressing them, short of revolution. That is what he wants. Nothing less will satisfy him. Violence, rebellion, treason. Now, Mr. Adams, are these the acts of Englishmen?
No, not Englishmen, Dickinson. Americans.
No, sir, Englishmen.
Please, Mr. Dickinson, but must you start banging? How is a man to sleep?
I'm sorry, Dr. Franklin, but must you start speaking? How is a man to stay awake? We'll promise to be quiet, sir. I'm sure everyone prefers that you remain asleep.
If I'm to hear myself called an Englishman, sir, then I assure you I'd prefer I'd remained asleep.
What's so terrible about being called an Englishman? The English don't seem to mind.
Nor would I, were I given the full rights of an Englishman. But to call me one without those rights is like calling an ox a bull. He's thankful for the honor, but he'd much rather have restored what's rightfully his.
When did you first notice they were missing, sir? Fortunately, Dr. Franklin, the people of these colonies maintain a higher regard for their mother country.
Higher, certainly, than she feels for them. Never was such a valuable possession so stupidly and recklessly managed as this entire continent by the British Crown. Our industry discouraged, our resources pillaged, and worst of all, our very character stifled. We've spawned a new race here, rougher, simpler, more violent, more enterprising, and less refined. We're a new nationality, Mr. Dickinson. We require a new nation.
That may be your opinion, Dr. Franklin, but as I've said, the people feel quite different.
Oh, what do you know of the people, Dickinson? You don't represent the people. You speak only for yourself. And that precious status quo you keep imploring the people to preserve for their own benefit is nothing more than the eternal preservation of your own property.
Mr. Adams, you have the most annoying talent for making such delightful words as property sound quite distasteful. In heaven's name, sir, what's wrong with property? Perhaps you've forgotten that many of us first came to these shores in order to secure rights to property, and that we hold those rights no less dear than the rights you speak of.
So safe, so fat, comfortable in Pennsylvania.
And what is this independence of yours, except the private grievance of Massachusetts? Why, even your own cousin, so busy now with his seditious activities in Boston that he has no time to attend this Congress, is a fugitive with a price on his head.
Slowly, Mr. Dickinson. I remind you that the same price that covers Sam Adams also covers me. We are wanted together.
What did you expect? You both dress up like red savages in order to commit piracy against one of His Majesty's ships. An event so embarrassing to your sister colonies that even your good friend Dr. Franklin offered to pay for all that spilt tea from his own pocket.
I'm usually able to speak for myself, Mr. Dickinson.
Then tell me this. What good can come from this radicalism and civil disorder? Where can it lead except to chaos, mob rule, and anarchy? And why, in God's name, is it always Boston that breaks the king's peace? My dear Congress, you must not approve this evil measure. It is the work of the devil. Leave it where it belongs, in New England.
Brother Dickinson, New England has been fighting the devil for more than 100 years.
And as of now, Brother Sherman, the devil has been winning hands down. Why, at this very moment, he is sitting here in this Congress. Don't let him deceive you. This proposal is entirely his doing. It may bear Virginia's name, but it reeks of Adams, Adams, and more Adams. Look at him, ready to lead this continent down the fiery path of total destruction.
Oh, good. God, why can't you acknowledge what already exists? It's been more than a year since Lexington and Concord. Damn it, man, we're at war right now.
You may be at war. You, Boston, and John Adams. But you will never speak for Pennsylvania.
Or for Delaware. Mr. Reed, you represent only 1/3 of Delaware.
The sensible third, Mr. Rodney.
Sit down, you little roach roll.
Sit down, all three of you. McNair, do something about these damn flies.
McNair, fetching you around.
Get the flies
I've
first.
only got 2 hands.
Damn, it's hot. Please do go on, gentlemen. You're making the only breeze in Philadelphia.
Mr. Adams, perhaps you could clear something up. After we have achieved independence, we have proposed with government in South Carolina.
The people, of course.
Which people, sir? The people of South Carolina or the people of Massachusetts?
Why don't you admit it, Nettie? You're against independence now, and you always will be.
You refuse to understand this, gentlemen. We desire independence, yes. South Carolina, that is our country. And as such, we do not wish it to belong to anyone, not to England and not to you.
We intend to be one nation, Rutledge.
A nation of sovereign states, Mr. Adams. United for our mutual protection, but separate for our individual pursuits. That is what we understood it to be, and that is what we will support as soon as everyone supports it.
There you are, Mr. Adams. You must see that we need time to make certain who we are and where we stand in regard to one another. For if we do not determine the nature of the beast before we set it free, oh, it will end by consuming us all.
Oh, for once in your life, Wilson, take a chance. I say the time is now. It may never come again.
Your clock is fast, Mr. Adams. I say we're not yet ripe for independence.
Not right? Hell, we're rotting for want of it. Gentlemen, please. What in God's name is the infernal hurry? Why must this question be settled now? What's wrong with now, Mr. Chase? General Washington's in the field. If he's defeated as it now appears, we'll be inviting the hangman. But if by some miracle he should win, we can then declare anything we damn please.
The sentiments of North Carolina are precisely.
Has it ever occurred to either of you that an army needs something to fight for in order to win? A cause, a purpose, a flag of its own?
Mr. Adams, how can a nation of only 2 million souls stand up to an empire of 10 million? Think of it, 10 million. How do we compensate for that shortage?
It's simple, Mr. Chase. Increase and multiply.
We will more than compensate. With spirit. I tell you, there's a spirit out there with the people that's sadly lacking here in this Congress.
Yes, of course. Now it's spirit. Why didn't I think of that? No army, no navy, no arms, no ammunition, no treasury, no friends, but bless our soul, spirit. Mr. Lee, Mr. Hopkins, Mr. Rodney, Colonel McKee, Dr. Frank, why have you joined this incendiary little man, this Boston radical,
inconsiderate men. You keep to the rear of every issue so that if we go under, you'll still remain afloat.
Are you calling me a coward?
Yes, coward! Man! Landlord! Lawyer! Bow!
Congress, stop what I say! The enemy's out there! No, Mr. Rodney, the enemy is here! No, no, I say he's out there! England! England! Closing in! Cutting off our air! There's no time! No air! Thomas! Caesar! Caesar! Dr. Holmes!
Where's the king?
It's the cancer.
He should go home.
Yes, man should die in his own bed, damn it. John,
I'm here, Caesar.
I leave you a divided Delaware. Forgive me.
I'll take you home, Caesar. I'll be back within the week.
Mr. President, South Carolina calls the question.
What's that, Mr. Rutledge?
I said South Carolina desires to end the debate and call the question of independence.
Delaware, second.
Gentlemen, the question has been called and seconded. Mr. Secretary, you will record the vote.
Franklin, do something. Think.
I'm thinking. But nothing's coming.
All those in favor of the resolution, as proposed by the colony of Virginia, signify by saying yes.
Mr. Secretary, would you read the resolution again?
What?
I've forgotten it.
Resolved that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent
I beg your
states.
pardon. I am the Reverend John Witherspoon, new delegate from New Jersey.
Yay.
Dr. Drake, I regret to be the bearer of unhappy tidings, but your son, the royal governor of New Jersey, is taken prisoner and has been moved under guard to the colony of Connecticut for safekeeping.
Is he unharmed, sir?
When last I heard, yes, sir.
Then why the long face? I hear Connecticut is an excellent location. Tell me, why'd they arrest the little bastard?
The New Jersey legislature has recalled the old delegation to this Congress and has sent a new one.
Quickly, man, where do you stand on independence?
That's the reason for the change. We've been instructed to vote for independence.
Mr. President, Massachusetts is now ready for the vote on independence and reminds the chair of its privilege to decide all deadlocked votes.
I won't forget, Mr. Adams. The chair would like to welcome the Reverend Witherspoon and appoint him congressional chaplain if he will accept the post.
With much pleasure, sir.
Thompson, proceed with the vote on independence.
All in favor of the resolution, as proposed by the colony of Virginia on independence, signify by
Mr.
saying...
President, Pennsylvania moves that any vote in favor of independence must be unanimous.
What?
I second the motion. Judge Wilson.
Delaware,
No, it's ever had to be unanimous, Dickinson, and you know it.
yes, but this one must be.
On what grounds?
That no colony be torn from its mother country without its own consent.
Here. But it'll never be unanimous, damn it.
If you say so, Mr. Adams.
It has been moved and seconded that the vote on independence must be unanimous in order to carry. All those in favor signify by saying yea.
Yay!
6 colonies say yea. All those opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
6 colonies say nay. Mr. Secretary, New York abstains.
Ah!
Courteously.
Mr. Morris, why must New York constantly abstain? Why doesn't New York simply stay in New York? Very well, the vote is tied. The principles of independence have no greater advocate in Congress than its president. That is why I must join those who vote for unanimity.
What are you doing, John? You sunk us.
Hear me out. Don't you see that any colony who opposes independence will be forced to fight on the side of England, that will be setting brother against brother, that our new nation will carry as its emblem the mark of Cain? I can see no other way. Either we walk together, or together we must stay where we are. Very well. Proceed, Mr. Thompson.
A unanimous vote being necessary to opposed to the resolution on independence as proposed by the colony of Virginia, signify by
Mr.
saying...
President!
For heaven's sake, let me get through at once.
Mr. President, Massachusetts moves for postponement.
Ha! I wish you the same luck I had with it.
Mr. Adams is right. We need a postponement.
On what grounds?
On what grounds?
Mr. President, how can this Congress vote on independence without a written declaration of some sort defining it?
What sort of declaration?
Listing the reasons for the separation, our goals and our aims, and so on and so forth, et cetera, ditto.
Well, we know those, don't we?
Well, yes, we know, but what about the rest of the world? Certainly we will require the aid of a great nation such as France or Spain, and such a declaration will be consistent with European delicacy.
Calm down, Mr. Adams. You'll have to do better than that. Answer straight. What would be its purpose?
To
Yes,
place
well-
before mankind the common sense of the subject, in terms so plain and firm as to command their assent.
Mr. Jefferson, are you seriously suggesting that we publish a paper declaring to all the world that an illegal rebellion is in reality a legal one?
Why, Mr. Dickinson, I'm surprised at you. You should know that rebellion is always legal in the first person, such as our rebellion. It is only in the third person, their rebellion, that it is illegal. Mr. President, I second the motion to postpone the vote on independence for a period of time sufficient for the writing of a declaration.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson?
All those in favor of the motion to postpone signify by saying yea.
Yay!
6 colonies say yea. Against?
Yay!
6 colonies say nay.
Mr. Secretary. New York abstains.
Mr. Morris, what in hell goes on in New York?
Sorry, sir, but the simple fact is that the New York legislature has never sent us explicit instructions on anything.
Never? That's impossible.
Have you ever been to a meeting of the New York legislature? They talk very fast and very loud about a great many things, and no one pays the least attention to anybody else, with the result that nothing ever gets done. I bet the Congress is parted.
My sympathies, Mr. Morris. The vote again being tied, the chair decides in favor of postponement. So ruled. A committee will now be formed to manage the declaration. Said document to be written, debated, and approved by the beginning of July, 3 weeks hence. At which time, Virginia's resolution of independence will finally be voted. Is that clear?
Yes.
Very well. Will the following gentlemen serve on the Declaration Committee? Dr. Franklin, Mr. John Adams, Mr. Sherman, Mr. Livingston, and of course, Mr. Lee.
Excuse me, Mr. President, but I must be returning to the sovereign country of Virginia, as I have been asked to serve as governor. Therefore, I must decline respectful leave.
Very well, Mr. Lee, you are excused. I suppose we can leave it a 4-man committee.
Oh, just a moment. This business needs a Virginian. Therefore, I propose a replacement. Mr. Thomas Jefferson.
No, Mr. Adams.
Very
no.
well, Mr. Adams.
I'm going
Mr.
home
Jefferson will
to
serve.
my
Move
wife.
to adjourn.
No,
Second.
I cannot see my
Moved
wife
and
for
seconded.
6
Any
months.
objection?
I have objections.
So ruled. Understand adjourned.
I need to see my wife, I tell you.
All right, gentlemen. Let's get on with it. Which of us will write our Declaration of Independence?
Mr. Adams, I say you should write it. To your legal mind and brilliance we defer.
Is that so? Well, if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their quilt and through it. I'm obnoxious and disliked. You know that, sir.
Yes, I know.
But I say you should write it, Franklin. Yes, you.
Hell no.
Yes, you, Dr. Franklin. You.
What?
You.
What?
You.
What? Mr. Adams. But, Mr. Adams, the things I write are only light extemporanea. I won't put politics on paper
you are never controversial, as it were.
That is true.
Whereas if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their quill pens through it. I'm obnoxious and disliked. You know that, sir.
Yes, I do.
And I say you should write it, Roger. Yes, you.
Good heavens, no.
Yes, you, Roger Sherman.
Mr. Adams, but Mr. Adams, I cannot write with any style or proper etiquette. I don't know apart a symbol from a predicate. I am just a simple cobbler from Connecticut.
Connecticut, Connecticut, a simple cobbler he.
Mr. Livingston, maybe you should write it. You have many friends and you're a diplomat.
Oh, that word.
Whereas if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their quill pens through it.
He's obnoxious and disliked. Did you know that? I hadn't heard.
I say you should write it, Robert. Yes, you.
Not me, Johnny.
Yes, you, Robert Livingston, you.
But Mr. Adams, dear Mr. Adams, I've been presented with a new sunlight and double score. So I am going home to celebrate in proper cork with all the Livingstons together back in old New York.
New York, New York, Livingston's going to pop a cork.
Well, Mr. Jefferson.
Mr. Adams, leave me alone.
Mr. Jefferson.
Mr. Adams, I beg you, I've not seen my wife for 6 months.
And we solemnly declare that we will preserve our liberties, being with one mind resolved to guide free men rather than rule as slaves. Thomas Jefferson, on the necessity of taking up arms, 1775, magnificent. You write 10 times better than any man in Congress, including me. For a man of only 33 years, you have a happy talent for composition and a remarkable felicity of expression. Now then, sir, will you be a patriot or a lover?
A lover.
No!
But I heard Mr. A.
So do I, Mr. J.
You?
Mr. Jefferson, dear Mr. Jefferson, I'm only 41, I still have my virility, and I can romp through Cupid's grove with great agility. But life is more than sexual combustibility.
Combustibility, combustibility, combustibility.
Now you write it, Mr. J.
Who'll make me, Mr. A?
I.
You?
Yes.
How?
By physical force if necessary. It's your duty, damn it, your duty. Now, the choice is yours, Jefferson. Do as you like with it.
Mr. Adams. Damn you, Mr. Adams. You're obnoxious and dislike that cannot be denied. Once again you stand between me and my lovely bride. Lovely bride. Oh, Mr. Adams, you are driving me to homicide.
Homicide, homicide, we may see murder, yeah!
comes a time in the lives of men when they must advance for that subordination in which they have hitherto This is terrible. Where's the rest of it? You mean to say it's not finished?
No, sir, I mean to say it's not yet begun.
1 week. A whole week. The entire earth was created in a week.
Someday you must tell me how you did it.
Just disgusting. Look at him, Franklin. Virginia's most famous lover.
Virginia abstains.
Cheer up, Jefferson. Get out of the dumps now. Come out like I promised you now. Now get back to work. Franklin, tell him to get back to work.
He's asleep.
You, halloo, and whose little girl are you? John, who is she?
His wife, I hope.
What makes you think so?
Because I sent for her.
What?
It simply occurred to me that the sooner his problem was solved, the sooner our problem was solved.
Good thinking, John, good thinking.
Madam, may I present myself, John Adams. Adams, John Adams. Dr. Franklin, inventor of the stove. Jefferson, will you kindly present me to her wife? She is your wife, isn't she?
Of course she is. Look how they fit. Come along, John, come along.
Come along where? There's work to be done.
Obviously.
You don't mean to say that you're going to in the middle of the afternoon?
Not everybody's from Boston, John. Well, good night, John.
Have you eaten, Franklin?
Not yet.
Well, I hear the turkey's fresh as a bunch of grapes.
I have a rendezvous, John. I'd ask you along, but talking makes her nervous.
Yes, of course.
Good night, then.
Good night. Incredible. Abigail. Oh, Abigail, I'm very lonely.
Are you, John? Then as long as you were sending for wives, why didn't you send for your own?
No, don't be unreasonable, Abigail.
Now I'm unreasonable. You must add that to your list.
List?
The catalog of my faults you included in your last letter.
They were fondly intended, madam.
That I play at cards badly.
A compliment.
That my posture is crooked.
An endearment.
That I read, write, and think too much.
An irony.
That I am pigeon-toed.
Ah, well, there you have me, Abigail. You are pigeon-toed. Come to Philadelphia, Abigail. Please come.
Thank you, John. I do want to. But you know it's not possible now. The children have the measles.
Yes, so you wrote Tom and little Abby.
Only now it's Charles and Quincy. And it appears the farm here in Braintree is failing, John. The chickens and geese have all died, and the apples never survived the late frost. How do you suppose she managed to get away?
Yeah, the winters are softer in Virginia.
And their women, John?
Oh, fit for Virginians, madam, but pale, puny things beside New England girls.
John, I thank you for that.
How goes it with you, Abigail?
Not well, John. Not at all well. I live like a nun in a cloister, solitary, celibate. I hate it. And you, John?
I live like a monk in an abbey. Ditto, ditto. I hate it.
Write to me with sentimental effusion. Let me revel in romantic illusion.
Do you still smell of vanilla and spring air? And is my favorite lover's pillow shall walk in Cupid's grove together, and will fondly survey that promised land. Till then, I am as I ever was and ever shall be. Yours, 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 yours.
Saltpeter John.
Sorry to be late, John. I was up till all hours. You been here long?
Not long.
And what are you doing out here? I expected you to be up there, cracking the whip.
The shutters are still closed.
My word, so they are. Well, as the French say, toujours l'amour.
Oh, spare me your body mind first thing in the morning, Franklin. Dare we call?
A congressman dares anything. Go ahead.
Me?
Your voice is more piercing.
This is positively indecent.
John, they're young and they're in love.
Not them, Franklin, us. Standing out here in the middle of the street waiting for them. Oh, what people.
Don't worry, John. The history books will clean it up.
It doesn't matter. I won't appear in the history books anyway, only you. Franklin did this, Franklin did that, Franklin did some other damn thing. Franklin smote the ground, and out sprang George Washington, fully grown and on his horse. Franklin then electrified him with his miraculous lightning rod. And the three of them, Washington, Franklin, and the horse, conducted the entire revolution all by themselves.
I like it.
Look at her, John. Look at her. I am.
No wonder the man couldn't write. Who could think of independence married to her? She's even more magnificent than I remember. Of course, we didn't see much of her front last night. Good morrow, madam.
Good morrow.
Is it the habit in Philadelphia for strangers to shout at ladies in the streets?
Oh, not at all, madam.
For men of your age, it is not only unseemly, it is unsightly.
Excuse me, madam, but we met last evening.
I spoke to no one last evening.
Indeed you did not, madam. But nevertheless, we presented ourselves. This is Mr. John Adams, and I am Dr. Franklin, inventor of the stove.
Please, I know your names very well. But you say you presented yourselves?
It is of no matter. Your thoughts were well taken elsewhere.
My husband is not yet up.
Shall we start over?
Oh, yes, of course. Please forgive me. It is indeed an honor meeting the two greatest men in America.
Certainly the greatest within earshot.
Dr. Franklin, my husband admires you both greatly.
Then we are doubly flattered. For we admire very much that which your husband admires.
Did you sleep well, madam? Oh, did you lie comfortably? Oh, you know what I mean.
Yes, John, we do. Tell us about yourself, madam. We've had precious little information. What's your first name?
Martha.
Oh, Martha. You might at least have told us that. I'm afraid your husband doesn't say very much.
Oh, he's the most silent man in Congress. I don't think I've ever heard him utter 3 sentences together.
Not everyone's a talker, John.
It's true, you know. Tom is not a talker. Oh, he never speaks his passions. He never speaks his views. Whereas other men speak volumes, the man I love is mute. In truth, I can't recall being wooed with words at all. Even now.
Go on, madam.
Yes, how did he win you, Martha? How does he hold on to a bounty such as you?
Surely you've noticed that Tom is a man of many accomplishments. Author, lawyer,
settles it, John. We're taking up the violin.
Very well. You have us play the violin. What happens next?
Next, Mr. Adams.
Yes, what does Tom do now?
Well, just what you'd expect. We dance.
Dance.
Dance? Incredible. John, you can dance.
Not everyone's from Philadelphia, Franklin.
Hi, 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 hi. When heaven calls to me, sing me no sad elegy. Say I died, loving bride, loving wife, loving life, for it was high, high, high. And never 'twill be. High, 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 high. Through eternity.
Franklin. He's done it. He's written something. Dear Mr. Adams, I am taking my wife back to bed. Kindly go away. Your obedient T. Jefferson.
Again? Incredible. Perhaps I'm the one who should have written the Declaration after all. At my age, there's little doubt that the pen is mightier than the sword. I, diddle, diddle, and God bless the man who can fiddle.
And independency.
Hi, 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 yada-ta-ta-ta, through eternity. He plays the violin, plays the violin, plays the violin.
And what follows is a complete and up-to-date list of the committees of this Congress, now sitting, about to sit, or just having sat. A committee formed to investigate a complaint made against the quality of yeast manufactured at Mr. Henry Pendleton's mill, designated as the Yeast Committee. A committee formed to consider the most effective method of spies, designated as the Spies Committee. A committee formed to think, perhaps to do, but in any case to gather, to meet, to confer, to talk, and perhaps even to resolve that each rifle regiment be allowed at least one drum and one fife attached to each company, designated as the Drum and Fife Committee. A committee formed...
Look at it, Doctor. Democracy. What Plato calls a charming form of government, full of variety and disorder. I never knew Plato had been to Philadelphia.
McNair, open that damn window.
Ben, I want you to see some cards I've gone and have printed out. That ought to save everybody here a whole lot of time and effort, considering the epidemic of bad disposition that's been going around here lately. Dear sir, you are without any doubt
rogue, a rascal, a villain, a thief, a scoundrel, and a mean, dirty, stinking, sniveling, sneaking, pimping, pocket-picking, thrice double-damned, no good, son of a bitch. And you sign your name. What do you think?
Stephen, I'll take a dozen right now.
Committee formed to answer all congressional correspondence, designated as the Congressional Correspondence Committee.
All right, Franklin, enough socializing. There's work to be done.
Good morning, John.
Huh? Well, good morning, good morning. Now then, can we get to it?
Get to what?
Unanimity, of course. Look at that board. 6 nays it went over in little more than a week.
A committee formed to consider the problem of counterfeit money, designated as the Counterfeit Money Committee.
All right, John, where do we start?
How about Delaware? Sad thing to find her on the wrong side after all this time. Is there any news of Rodney?
McKean's back.
Thomas!
A committee formed to study the causes of our military defeat in Canada, designated as the Military Defeat Committee.
Thomas, how did you leave Caesar? Is he still alive?
Aye, but the journey to Dover was fearful hard on him. He never complained, but I could see the poor man was suffering.
But you got him safely home.
I did, but I doubt he'll ever set foot out of it again.
Yeah, that leaves you and Reed split down the middle. Will he come over?
I don't know. He's a stubborn little snot.
Well, then work on him. Keep at him till you wear him down.
Oh, John, face facts, will you? If it was just Reed standing in our way, it wouldn't be so bad. But see for yourself, man. Maryland, Pennsylvania, the entire South. It's impossible.
It's impossible if we all stand around complaining about it. To work, McKean, one foot in front of the other.
I believe I put it a better way. Never leave off till tomorrow.
Oh, shut up, Franklin.
But what good will it do? You know Dickinson, he'll never give in. And you haven't heard the last to Rutledge either.
Never mind about them. Your job is George Reed. Talk him deaf if you have to, but bring us back Delaware.
There's a simpler way. This'll break the tie.
All right, John, who's next?
A committee formed to keep secrets, designated as the Secrets Committee.
Pennsylvania and Maryland. I suggest you try to put your own house in order. I'll take a crack at old bacon face back there. Look at him stuff himself. Oh, Chase! How about it, Chase? When are you coming to your senses?
Please, Mr. Adams, not what I'm eating.
Mr. Wilson, it's time to assert yourself. When you were a judge, how in hell did you ever make a decision?
The decisions I make are all based on legality and precedence. But there is no legality here, and certainly no precedent.
Because it's a new idea, you clot. We'll be setting our own precedent.
No, McCain, no, no, no! Damn your eyes, Reed! You came into this world screaming no, and you're determined to leave it the same little way, you little worm!
Chase, the Congress is waiting on you, Chase. America's waiting. The whole world is waiting. What's that, Kitty?
Leave me alone, Mr. Adams. You're wasting your time. I thought we could win this war at the front of your ranks. You must know it's impossible. You've heard General Washington's dispatches. His army is falling apart.
Oh, Washington's exaggerating the situation to arouse this torpid Congress into action. Why, as chairman of the War Committee, I can tell you for a fact the Army's never been in better shape. Never have troops been more cheerful. Never have soldiers been more resolute. Never have training and discipline been more spirited. Oh, good God.
There we have your ears, gentlemen. Mr. Thompson has a dispatch.
From the Commander, Army of United Colonies. In New York, dispatch number 1157. To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President. Dear Sir, it is with the utmost despair that I must report to you the confusion and disorder that reign in every department.
Sweet Jesus!
The Continental soldier is as nothing ever seen in this or any other century. He is a misfit, ignorant of hygiene, destructive, disorderly, and totally disrespectful of rank. Only this last is understandable, as there is an incredible reek of stupidity amongst the officers. The situation is most desperate at the New Jersey training ground in New Brunswick, where every able-bodied ward, or in the colonies, has assembled. There are constant reports of drunkenness, desertion, foul language, naked bathing in the Raritan River, and an epidemic of the French disease. I have declared the town off limits to all military personnel, with the exception of officers. I beseech the Congress
would depress a hyena.
Well, Mr. Adams, you're chairman of the War Committee. Are you up to whoring, drinking, deserting, and New Brunswick?
There must be some mistake. I have an aunt who lives in New Brunswick.
You must tell her to keep up the good work. Come, Mr. Adams, you must see that it's hopeless. Let us recall General Washington and disband the Continental Army before we are overwhelmed.
Oh, yes, the English would like that, wouldn't they?
Why not ask them yourself? They ought to be here any minute.
When they hang you, Mr. Adams, I hope you put in a good word for the rest of us.
Face facts, Mr. Adams. A handful of drunk and disorderly recruits against the entire British Army, the finest musketmen on earth. How can we, man? How can we even hope to survive?
Answer me straight, Chase. If you thought we could beat the Redcoats, would Maryland say yea to independence?
But I suppose.
No supposing, Chase. Would you or wouldn't you?
Very well, Mr. Adams. Yes, we would.
Then come with me to New Brunswick and see for yourself.
John, are you mad?
You heard what Washington said. It's a shambles.
They're pushing you into it, Johnny.
Please say, Chase.
Go ahead, Sam. It sounds lively as hell up there.
Why not? And maybe it'll be John Adams who comes to his senses.
Mr. President, the War Committee will heed General Washington's request. A party consisting of Mr. Chase, myself, Dr. Franklin, will leave immediately.
Is that satisfactory with you, Dr. Franklin?
Wake up, Franklin. You're going to New Brunswick.
Oh, like hell I am. What for?
The whoring and the drinking.
Why didn't you say so?
Come on, Chase, now. Move all that long. We go down. Go, Franklin. Loose now, Chase. Let's go. Left, right. Left, right. Left, right. Let's go.
Mr. McNair, all this talk of independence has left a certain foulness in the air. My friends and I would appreciate it if you could open some windows.
What about the flies?
The windows, Mr. McNair. Oh, say, do you see what I see? This Congress sitting here in sweet serenity. I could cheer, the reason's clear. For the first time in a year, Adams isn't here. And look, the sun is in the sky, a breeze is blowing by, and there's not a single fly. I sing Hosanna, 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 and it's cool. Come ye cool, conservative men are like they never ever be seen again. We have land, cash in hand, self-command, future plan. Fortune thrives, society survives in neatly ordered lives with well-endowed wives. Come sing Hosanna, Hosanna, in our greeting and our manner. We are cool. Come ye cool, consider it set. We'll dance together to the same minuet. To the right, ever to the right, never to the left, forever to the right. Let our creed be never to exceed regulated speed, no matter what the need. We sing Hosanna, Hosanna, emblazoned on our banner is keep cool. To the right, ever to the right, never to the left, forever to the right. Hands attach, tightly latch, everybody match.
I have a new dispatch. From the commander, Army of the United Colonies, in New York, dispatch number 1158. To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President. Dear Sir, I awoke this morning to find that General Howe has landed 25,000 British regulars and Hessian mercenaries on Staten Island, and that the fleet under the command of his brother, Admiral Lord Howe, controls not only the Hudson and East Rivers, but New York Harbor, which now looks like all of London afloat. I can no longer, in good conscience, withhold from the Congress my certainty that the British military object at this time is Philadelphia, Happy should I be if I could see the means of preventing them, but at present I confess I do not. Oh, how I wish I had never seen the Continental Army. I would have done better to retire to the backcountry and live in a wigwam. Gee, Washington.
Sweet Jesus.
What we do rationally. We never ever go off half-cocked, not we. Why begin till we know that we can win? And if we cannot win, why bother to begin?
Say this game's not of our choosing. Why should we risk losing?
We cool men.
Mr. Hancock, you're a man of property, one of us. Why don't you join us in our minuet? Why do you persist in dancing with Mr. Allen? Good Lord, sir, you don't even like him. That is true. He annoys me quite a lot, but still I'd rather trot to Mr. Adams' new gava. But why? For personal glory, for a place in history? Be careful, sir. History will brand him and his followers as traitors. Traitors to what, Mr. Dickinson? The British crown or the British half-crown? Fortunately, there are not enough men of property in America to dictate policy. Perhaps not, but don't forget that most men with nothing would rather protect the possibility of becoming rich than face the reality of being poor. And that is why they will follow us. To the right, ever to the right, never to the left, forever to the right. Where there's gold, a market that will hold, tradition that is old, reluctant to be bold. Sing Hosanna, Hosanna, in a sane and lucid manner. We are cool, we're the cool, considerate men, whose like may never, ever be seen again. With our land, cash in hand, self-command, future planned, and we'll hold to our goal, tradition that is old, reluctant to be bold. We say this game's not of our choosing. Why should we risk losing? We
How'd you like to try and borrow $1 from one of them? Want another rum, General?
General, Lord, I ain't even a corporal.
Yeah, what's the Army know anyway? Gentlemen, sit down. Cheer up. It's too damn hot to work. What's it like out there, General?
Well, you probably know better than me.
Sitting here? Sweet Jesus, this is the last place to find out what's going on.
I may join up.
What are you talking about? You don't have to join up, you're in the Congress.
What's that got to do with it?
You don't see them rushing off to get killed, do ya? But they're sure great ones for sending others, I'll tell you that.
Who sits here?
Roger Sherman of Connecticut. Where are you from, General?
Watertown,
Where's that?
Massachusetts.
Well then, you belong down there. But be careful. There's something about that chair that makes a man awful noisy.
Did you see any fighting? I sure did. I saw my two best friends get shot dead on the very same day. Right in the village green it was, too. And when they didn't come home for supper, their ma's was down the hill looking for them. Miss Lowell, she found Timothy right off. And Miss Pickett, she looked near half the night for Lily.
battle begun. Then I went under. Oh, Ma, am I done? Hey, hey, Mama, look sharp. My eyes are wide open, my face to the sky. Is that you I'm hearing in the tall grass nearby? Mama, come find me before I do die. Hey, hey, Mama, look sharp. I'll close your eyes, my Billy. They're eyes that cannot see, and I'll bury up my Billy beneath the maple tree. And never again will you whisper to me, hey, hey, oh Mama, look sharp.
Secretary will now read the report of the Declaration Committee. Mr. Thompson?
A declaration by the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinion of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights.
Jefferson, we're back. We're back and we've got Maryland. That is, we will soon as Chase gets through telling the Maryland Assembly what we saw in New Brunswick.
He's in Annapolis right now, describing a ragtag collection of provincial militiamen who couldn't train together, drill together, or march together. But when a flock of ducks flew by and they saw their first dinner in 3-4 days, sweet Jesus, could they shoot together? It was a slaughter.
They're reading the Declaration.
What? How far have they got?
To render the military independent of and superior to the civil power.
Independent of and superior to the civil power.
Well, there's nothing to fear. It's a masterpiece. I'm to be congratulated. You for making him write it.
Ah, yes, of course.
It's a masterpiece, I say. They will cheer every word, every letter.
I wish I felt that way.
I believe I can put it better. Now then attend, as friend to friend, our Declaration Committee. For us I see immortality in Philadelphia City. A farmer, a lawyer, and a sage, a bit gouty in the delay. You know it's quite bizarre to think that here we are, playing midwives to an egg.
Egg. What egg?
America, the birth of a new nation.
Only we could be sure of what kind of bird it was going to be.
Tom's got a point. What sort of a bird should we choose as the symbol of our new America?
The eagle.
The dove.
The turkey.
The eagle.
The dove.
The eagle.
The eagle.
The turkey.
The eagle is a majestic bird.
The eagle is a scavenger, a thief, a coward, and the symbol of more than 10 centuries of European mischief.
And the turkey?
A truly noble bird, a native of America, a source of sustenance to our settlers, and an incredibly brave fellow who would not flinch from attacking an entire regiment of Englishmen single-handedly. Therefore, the national bird of America is going to be...
The eagle.
The eagle.
For the chirp, chirp, chirp of an eaglet being born, waiting for the chirp, chirp, chirp on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator.
God knows the temperature's hot enough to hatch a stone, let alone an egg.
We're waiting for the scratch, scratch, scratch of that tiny little fellow, waiting for the egg to hatch on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator. God knows the temperature's hot enough to hatch a stone, but will it hatch an egg? Declaration will be a triumph, I tell you, a triumph. If I was ever sure of anything, I'm sure of that, a triumph. And if it isn't, well, we still have 4 days to think of something else. The eagle's going to crack the shell of the egg that England laid. Yes, sir, we can tell, tell, tell on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator.
And just as Tom here is written, though the shell may belong to Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us.
And just as Tom here is written, we say to hell with Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us.
And that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Very well, gentlemen. The Congress has heard the report of the Declaration Committee. Are there any who wish to offer amendments, deletions, or alterations to the Declaration? Please, McNair, you better open that window. Colonel McKean, I saw your hand first.
Mr. Jefferson, it's a bonny paper you've written. But somewhere in it you mentioned Scottish and foreign mercenaries come to destroy us. Scottish, Tom?
It's in reference to a Highland regiment which stood against us at Boston.
Ah, it was probably Germans wearing kilts, disguised as men. I ask you to remove the word and avoid giving offense to a good people.
Mr. Jefferson?
Mr. Witherspoon.
Mr. Jefferson, nowhere do you mention the Supreme Being. Certainly this was an oversight. Therefore, I must humbly suggest the following addition to your final sentence, with a firm reliance upon the protection of divine providence.
Mr. Jefferson?
Mr. President, please.
Among your charges against the king, Mr. Jefferson, you accuse him of depriving us of the benefits of trial by jury. This is untrue, sir. In Delaware, we've always had trial by jury.
In Massachusetts, we have not.
Oh, then I suggest the words "in many cases" be added.
Mr. Jefferson?
In many cases. Oh, time you hear those 3 words, your puny little chest will swell up with pride over your great historical contribution.
It's more memorable than that unprincipled whitewash of that race of barbarians.
That's enough. Mr. Hopkins.
No objections, Johnny. I'm just trying to get a drink.
Oh, I should have known. McNair, get him a rum.
Huh?
Mr. Whipple.
Mr. Jefferson, I beg you to remember that we still have friends in England. I see no purpose in antagonizing them with such phrases as unfeeling brethren and enemies in war. Our quarrels with the British king, not the British people.
Oh, be sensible, Whipple. Remove those phrases and the entire paragraph becomes meaningless. And it so happens it's among the most stirring and poetic of any passage in the entire document.
We're a Congress, Mr. Adams, not a literary society. I ask that the entire paragraph be stricken.
Mr. Jefferson?
Jefferson, don't you ever intend to speak up for your own work?
I had hoped the work would speak for itself.
Mr. Hancock,
What is it, Mr. McNair?
I can't say I'm very fond of the United States of America as a name for a new country.
I don't care what you're fond of, McNair. You're not a member of this Congress. Mr. Sherman.
Brother Jefferson, I noticed at least 2 distinct indirect references to the British Parliament in your declaration. Do you think it's wise to alienate that august body in light of our contention that they have never had any direct authority over us anyway?
This is a revolution, damn it! We're gonna have to offend somebody! Have you heard what they're doing to it? Have you heard?
Yes, John.
And so far it's only been our friends. Can you imagine what our enemies will do?
The word Parliament will be removed wherever it occurs.
They're not going to be satisfied till they remove one of the S from Jefferson's name.
Courage, John. It won't last much longer.
Mr. Dickinson.
Mr. Jefferson, I have very little interest in your paper, as there is no doubt in my mind that we have all but heard the last of it. But I am curious about one thing. Why do you refer to King George as a tyrant?
Because he is a tyrant.
I remind you, Mr. Jefferson, that this tyrant is still your king.
When a king becomes a tyrant, he thereby breaks the contract binding his subjects to him.
How so?
By taking away their rights.
Rights that came from him in the first place.
All except one. The right to be free comes from nature.
Judge Wilson, do we in Pennsylvania consider King George to be a tyrant?
Well, I don't know. Oh, no! We don't. He's not a tyrant. In Pennsylvania.
There you are, Mr. Jefferson. Your declaration does not speak for us all. I demand the word tyrant be removed.
No, Mr. Thompson, I do not consent. The king is a tyrant whether we say so or not. We might as well say so.
Hear, hear.
But I already scratched it out.
Then scratch it back in.
Put it back, Mr. Thompson. The king will remain a tyrant. Mr. Hughes.
Mr. Jefferson, nowhere do you mention deep sea fish and rats.
Fishing rights? How long is this piddling to go on? We've been sitting here for 3 full days. We've endured, by my count, 85 separate changes and the removal of close to 400 words. Would you whip it and beat it till you break its spirit? I tell you, this document is a masterful expression of the American mind.
If there are no more changes, then I can assume that the report and
Just a
declaration...
Just a moment, Mr. President.
Look out.
I wonder if we might prevail upon Mr. Thompson to read again a small portion of Mr. Jefferson's declaration. One beginning with he has waged true war.
Mr. Thompson?
He has affected, he's combined, he's abdicated, he's plundered, he's constrained, he's excited, he's incited, he's waged cruel war. Ah, here it is. He's waged cruel war against human nature itself in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere. Determined to keep open a market where men are bought and sold, he has prostituted.
That'll suffice. Mr. Thompson, I thank you, sir. Mr. Jefferson, I can't quite make out what it is they're talking about.
Slavery, Mr. Rutledge.
Well, yes, you're referring to us as slaves of the king.
No, sir, I'm referring to our slaves, black slaves.
Black slaves. Why did you say so, sir? Are you trying to hide your meaning?
No, sir.
Just another literary license, then?
If you like.
Well, I don't like it at all, Mr. Jefferson. Us in South Carolina, black slavery is our peculiar institution and a cherished way of life.
Nevertheless, we must abolish it. Nothing is more certainly written in the book of fate than that this people shall be free.
I am not concerned with the book of fate right now, Mr. Jefferson. I'm more concerned with what's written in that little paper there.
That little paper there deals with freedom for Americans.
Oh, really? Mr. Adams is now calling our black slaves Americans. Are they?
They are. They're people and they're here. If there's any other requirement, I never heard of it.
They are here, yes. They're not people, sir. They are property.
No, sir, they are people being treated as property. I tell you the rights of human nature are deeply wounded by this infamous practice.
Then see to your own wounds, Mr. Jefferson. For you are a practitioner, are you not?
I have already resolved to release my slaves.
Well, I'm sorry. You've also resolved the ruination of your personal economy.
Economy. Always economy. There's more to this than a filthy purse string, Rutledge. It's an offense against man and God.
It's a stinking business, Mr. Rutledge. A stinking business.
Is it really, Mr. Hopkins? What is that smell floating down from the north? Would that be the aroma of hypocrisy? Or who is it that holds the other end of that filthy purse string? Our northern brother. Feeling a bit tender about our slaves. Well, they don't keep slaves. Oh, no. But they're willing to become considerable carriers of slaves to others. They're willing. For the shilling. Haven't you heard, Mr. Adams? Clink, clink. Molasses to rum to slaves. Oh, what a beautiful waltz. You dance with us, we dance with you, in molasses and rum and slaves. Sail the ships out of Boston, laden with Bibles and rum. Who drinks a toast to the Ivory Coast? Hail Africa, the slavers have come. New England with Bibles and rum. And it's off with the rum and the Bibles. Take on the slaves, clink, clink. And it's hail and farewell to the smell of the African coast. Molasses to rum to slaves. 'Tisn't morals, 'tis money that saves. Shall we dance to the sound of the profitable pound in molasses and rum and slaves? Sail the ships out of Guinea, laden with Bibles and slaves. 'Tis Boston can boast to the West Indies coast. Jamaica, we run to praise. Antigua, Barbados, we brought Bibles and slaves. Gentlemen, you mustn't think that our northern friends see our black slaves merely as figures on a ledger. They see them as figures on a block. Notice the faces at the auction going. White faces from Africa's wars. New England faces. Seafaring faces. Put them in the ships. Cram them in the ships. Stuff them in the ships.
Hurry, gentlemen, let the auction begin. Yahoo, yahoo, thunder. Gentlemen, do you hear? That's the cry of the auctioneer. Yahoo, yahoo, thunder. Slay, gentlemen, black gold, living gold, gold from Angola. Guinea, 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 blackbirds for sale. On Shanti, Evo, 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 blackbirds for sale. Handle them, fondle them, but don't finger them. They're prime, they're prime. Yahoo, yahoo, thunder.
For the love of God, Mr. Rutledge, please!
Molasses to rum to slaves who sail the ships back to Boston, laden with gold, see it gleam, whose fortunes are made on the triangle trade. Hail, slayer of the New England dream! Mr. Adams, I give you a toast. Hail Boston! Hail Charleston! Who stinketh the most?
Don't worry, John. They'll be back.
Aye, to vote us down.
Adams, I have it! And the Maryland Assembly's approved it! I told them about one of the greatest military engagements in history against a block of...
You'll have to forgive them, Mr. Chase, but they've just suffered a slight setback. After all, what is a man profit if he shall gain Maryland and lose the entire South? Matthew chapter 16, verse 26. Mr. McNair.
I know the flies.
No, a rum.
What are y'all sitting around for? We're wasting time, precious time. Thomas! Thomas, I want you to ride down into Delaware and fetch back Caesar Rum.
Are you mad? It's 80 miles on horseback and he's a diet man.
No, he's a patriot.
But what good will it do the South, Dennis?
Well, suppose they change their minds. Can we get Delaware without Rodney?
God, what a bastardly bunch we are.
Stephen?
I'm going to the tavern, Johnny. If there's anything I can do for you there, let me know.
Chase, Whipple.
What's the use, John? The vote's tomorrow morning.
There's less than a full day left.
Roger.
Face facts, John. It's finished.
I'm sorry, John.
We've no other choice, John. The slavery clause has to go.
Franklin, what do you say?
It's a luxury we can't afford.
A luxury? 500,000 souls in chains, and Dr. Franklin calls it a luxury? Maybe you should have walked up with a saddle.
You forget yourself, sir. I founded the first anti-slavery society on this continent.
No one can wave your credentials at me. Perhaps it's time you had them renewed.
The issue here is independence. Maybe you've lost sight of that fact. I have not. How dare you jeopardize our cause when we've come so far? These men, no matter how much we disagree with them, are not ribbon clerks to be ordered about. They are proud, accomplished men, the cream of their colonies. Whether you like it or not, they and the people they represent will be a part of the new country you'd hope to create. Either start learning how to live with them, or pack up and go home. But in any case, stop acting like a Boston fishwife.
Good God. What's happened? John Adams, the great John Adams, wise man of the East. What have I come to? My law firm down the pipe, my farm mortgage to the hilt. A time in life when other men prosper, I'm reduced to living in Philadelphia. Oh, Abigail, I need your help.
You don't usually ask my advice.
Yes, well, there doesn't appear to be anyone else right now.
Very well then, what is it?
Abigail, the entire South has walked out of this Congress. George Washington is on the verge of total annihilation. The precious cause for which I've labored these several years has come to nothing. And it appears I'm obnoxious in this light.
Nonsense, John.
But I am unwilling to face reality.
Foolishness, John.
But I am pig-headed.
Ah, well, there you have me, John. I'm afraid you are pig-headed.
Tell me, Abigail, has it been any kind of a life for you? God knows I haven't given you much.
I never asked for much. After all, I am Mrs. John Adams. That's quite a lot for one lifetime.
Is it, Abby?
Well, think of it, John. To be married to the man who's always first in line to be hanged.
Yes. The agitator. You must tell me what it is, Abigail. I've always been dissatisfied, I know that, but lately I find that I reek of discontentment. It fills my throat, it floods my brain. Oh, and sometimes I fear there's no longer a dream, only the discontentment.
Oh, John. Can you really know so little about yourself? And can you think so little of me that you believe I married the man you've described? Have you forgotten what you used to say to me? I haven't. Commitment, Abby. Commitment. There are only two creatures of value on the face of this earth, those with a commitment and those who require the commitment of others. Do you remember, John?
Yes, I remember.
Mr. Adams,
What is it?
these are for you.
Just a moment. What's in that cake? Who sent it?
Compliments of the Concord Ladies Coffee Club and the Sisterhood of the Truro Synagogue and the Friday Evening Baptist Sewing Circle and the Holy Christian Sisters of St. Clair. All for you, John. I am as I ever was and ever shall be. Yours, 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 yours.
Just a minute, Abigail. What's in that cake?
Saltpeter John.
There! I want you to run out and fetch every damn pin in Philadelphia.
Pin, what sort of
Oh,
pin?
whatever the ladies use in their sewing. And take that cake to the armory, man. Hurry up. Hurry. Franklin Jefferson, what are you doing just sitting around here? We're wasting time.
John, didn't you hear a word that I said before?
Never mind that. Here's what you gotta do.
John, I'm not even speaking to you.
There's no time for that, damn it. There's work to be done. Time's running out. Get up. Get out of your chair. Tomorrow is here. Too late to despair. Jefferson, talk to Rutledge. Talk. If it takes all night, keep talking. Talk and talk and talk. You're called Southern gentlemen, aristocrats. If you listen to anyone, you listen to you. Franklin. Time's running out.
I know. Get out of my chair. Do I have to talk to Wilson?
Yes, you do. If it takes all night, keep talking. Talk and talk and talk. Get him away from Rutledge. That's the only way to do it.
I'm still from Massachusetts, John. You know where I stand. I'll do whatever you say.
No, you're president of Congress, Hancock. You're a fair man. Stay that way. Tell me, Mr. Mr. Thompson, out of curiosity, do you stand with Mr. Dickinson or do you stand with me?
I stand with the general. Lately, I've had the honest feeling that he's been writing to me. To the Congress. I have been in expectation of receiving
anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see? They want me to quit. They say, John, give up the fight. Still to England I say, good night forever, good night. For I have crossed the Rubicon. Let the bridge be burned behind me. Come what may, come what may. Come it might. The croakers all say we'll rue the day. There'll be hell to pay in fiery purgatory. Through all the gloom, I can see the rays of ravishing light and glory. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see? I see fireworks. I see the pageant, the pomp and parade. I hear the bells ringing out. I hear the cannons roar. I see Americans, all Americans, free forevermore. How quiet the chamber is. How silent the chamber is. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see?
Yes, Mr. Adams. I do.
After all, I didn't see what.
Sorry if I startled you. I couldn't sleep. I was trying to resolve my dilemma. I remembered something I once read. A representative owes people not only his industry, but his judgment. And he betrays them if he sacrifices it for their freedom. Written by Edmund Burke, member of British Parliament.
Congress will now vote on Virginia's resolution of independence. Thank you for coming, Caesar, and God bless you, sir. Mr. Thompson, call the roll. And I'd remind you, gentlemen, that a single nay vote will defeat the motion. Mr. Thompson?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire says yay.
New Hampshire says yay. Massachusetts.
Massachusetts says yay.
Massachusetts says yay. Rhode Island.
Rhode Island says yay.
Rhode Island says yay. Connecticut.
Connecticut says yay.
Connecticut says yay. New York.
New York abstains. Curtis.
New York abstains.
Curtis.
New Jersey.
New Jersey says yay.
New Jersey says yay.
Mr. Rutledge?
Mr. Adams, you must believe I will do what I promised to do.
What do you want, Rutledge?
Remove the offending passage from your declaration.
We do that, we'll be guilty of what we ourselves are rebelling against.
Nevertheless, remove it, or South Carolina will bear it now and forever be free for independence.
John, I beg you to consider what you're doing.
Mark me, Franklin. We give in on this issue, posterity will never forgive us.
It's probably true. We won't hear a thing, John. We'll be long gone. And besides, what will posterity think we were? Demigods? We're men. No more, no less. Trying to get a nation started against greater odds than a more generous God would have allowed. John, first things first. Independence. America. For if we don't secure that, what difference will the rest make?
Jefferson, say something.
What else is there to do?
Well, man, you're the one who wrote it.
I wrote all of it, Mr. Adams.
There. There it is, Rutledge. You've got your slavery, little good may it do you. Now vote, damn you.
Mr. President, fair colony of South Carolina votes yea.
South Carolina says yea.
North Carolina says yea.
North Carolina says yea. Georgia.
Georgia says yay.
Georgia says yea. Pennsylvania. Second call.
Mr. President, Pennsylvania regrets all of the inconvenience that such distinguished men as Adams, Franklin, and Jefferson were put to just now. They might have kept their document intact for all the difference it will make. Mr. President, Pennsylvania says...
Just a moment. I ask that the delegation be polled.
Dr. Franklin, don't be absurd.
A poll, Mr. President. It's a proper request.
Yes, it is. Poll the delegation, Mr. Thompson.
Dr. Benjamin Franklin.
Yea.
Mr. John Dickinson.
Nay.
Mr. James Wilson. Judge Wilson.
There it is, Mr. Wilson. It's up to you now. The whole question of American independence rests squarely on your shoulders. An entirely new nation, Mr. Wilson, waiting to be born, or to die in birth, all on your say-so. Which will it be, Mr. Wilson? Every mapmaker in the world is waiting for your decision.
Come now, James. Nothing has changed. We mustn't let Dr. Franklin create one of his confusions. The question is clear.
Most questions are clear. Someone else has to decide them.
It would be a pity for a man who has handed down hundreds of wise decisions from the bench to be remembered only for the one unwise decision he made in Congress.
Come now, James. You're keeping everybody waiting. The secretary has called for your vote.
Please don't push me, John. I know what you want me to do. But Mr. Adams is correct about one thing. I'm the one who will be remembered for it.
What do you mean?
I'm different from you, John. I'm different from most of the men here. I don't want to be remembered. I just don't want the responsibility.
Well, whether you like it or not, James, there's no way of avoiding it.
Not necessarily. If I go with them, I will only be one among dozens. No one will ever remember the name of James Wilson. But if I vote with you, I'll be the man who prevented American independence. I'm sorry, John. I just didn't bargain for that.
And is that how new nations are formed? By a non-entity trying to maintain the anonymity he so
Revolutions come into this world like bastard children, Mr. Dickinson. Half improvised and half compromised. Our side has provided the compromise. Now Judge Wilson is supplying the rest.
It's sorry, John. My vote is yea.
Mr. Secretary, Pennsylvania says yay.
Pennsylvania says yea. The count being 12 to none with one abstention, the resolution on independence is adopted.
It's done. It's done.
Mr. Secretary, is the declaration ready to be signed?
It is.
Then I suggest we do so. And the chair further proposes, for our mutual protection and security, that no man be allowed to sit in Congress without attaching his name to it.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I cannot, in good conscience, sign such a document. I shall never stop hoping for our eventual reconciliation with England. But because, in my own way, I regard America no less than does Mr. Adams, I will join the Army and fight in her defense, even though I believe that fight to be hopeless. Goodbye, gentlemen.
Gentlemen of the Congress, I say ye John Dickinson. Hear, hear.
Gentlemen, are there any objections to the declaration as it now stands?
I have one, Mr. Hancock.
You, Mr. Adams?
Yes, Mr. Jefferson. It so happens the word is unalienable, not inalienable.
I'm sorry, Mr. Adams, inalienable is correct.
I happen to be a Harvard graduate.
And I, William and Mary.
Gentlemen, please, Mr. Jefferson, will you not yield to Mr. Adams' request?
No, sir, I will not.
Very well, I'll withdraw it.
Good for you, John.
I'll speak to the printer about it later.
Gentlemen, we are about to brave the storm in a skiff made of paper. And how it will end, God only knows.
That's a pretty large signature there, Johnny.
Yeah, so Fat George in London can read it without his glasses. Step right up, gentlemen. Don't miss your chance to commit treason.
Hancock's right. This paper is our passport to the gallows. There's no backing out now. If we don't hang together, we shall most assuredly hang separately.
In any case, hanging won't be so bad. One snap and it's over. Snap! Just like that. Now, take Mr. Morris there. He'll wait courteously for his turn up.
Forgive me if I don't join in the merriment, gentlemen, but if we're arrested now, my name is still the only one on the desk.
From the Commander, Army of the United Colonies, Army of the United States. In New York, dispatch number 1209. To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President. Dear Sir, I can now report with some certainty that the eve of battle is near at hand. Toward this end, I have ordered the evacuation of Manhattan and directed our defenses to take up stronger positions on the Brooklyn Heights. At the present time, my forces consist entirely of Hazlitt's Delaware militia and Smallwood's Marylanders, a total of 5,000 troops to stand against 25,000 of the enemy. And I begin to notice that many of them are lads under 15 and old men, none of whom could truly be called soldiers. One personal note to Mr. Lewis Morris of New York. I must regretfully report that his estates have been totally destroyed, but that I have taken the liberty of transporting Mrs. Morris and 8 of the children to Connecticut in safety. The 4 older boys are now enlisted in the Continental Army. As I write these words, the enemy is plainly in sight beyond the river. How it will end, only Providence can direct. But dear God, what brave men I shall lose before this business
Mr. McNair, go ring the bell.
Mr. President,
Mr. Morris.
to hell with New York. I'll sign it anyway.
Hey,
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Stevens, sit down.
No. I want to remember each man's face as he signs.
Very well. Mr. Thompson?
New Hampshire. Mr. William Whipple. Massachusetts. Mr. John Adams. Rhode Island. Mr. Stephen Hopkins. Connecticut. Mr. Roger Sherman. New York. Mr. Lewis Morris. New Jersey. The Reverend John Witherspoon. Pennsylvania. Dr. Benjamin Franklin.